Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of AgriVision. We're your hosts, Megan Clark and Kesley Holdgraver. Let's get into this week's stories. Young farmers are getting a leg up this year in a form of loan forgiveness, according to Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. We get the chance to speak with Dennis Campbell, the owner and operator of Clear Creek Enterprises. He speaks about embracing technology and how he's continuing his family farm. Also continuing family traditions is our Student Who Succeeds in Agriculture Spotlight, Judd Swanton. He speaks about how he has been showing lambs competitively across the state of Iowa, as well as continuing his family's tradition. But first, I had the chance to catch up with one of our former CAC members, Carson Mangelson, who now works at P&K Midwest. He speaks about the crucial role that they have been playing this harvest season in making sure that the farmers can stay in the fields. Here's more. Today we speak with P&K employee Carson Mangelson, and he talks a bit about P&K's role with keeping farmers going this harvest season. Carson also shares that this time of year during the harvest season, it's extremely busy, as people were already out around 8 o'clock this morning, breaking down in the fields and needing some help.
Harvest right now is definitely the number one. We have guys even this morning out running around. Guys broke down in the fields, just getting started. Can't figure things out, so we'll go out there, help them out, get started and stuff. Try to set their combines up best as we can. And then when we're not out in the field, we have plenty of stuff to do around here. Just fixing stuff like this bean head behind me I'm working on now. This is not a customer's, but it's one of ours that we have to have ready in case a customer does need it. So we always try to keep equipment on hand that if somebody needs something, we have it.
Carson also shares that he has a really great work environment and that when all of the workers work together, they do a really good job of helping each other out, and it creates a really smooth operating business.
That I work with are very good to get along with. I think this store, we all get along very well, and if one of us does not know how to do something, we can easily ask somebody else and they will be there to help you.
His typical workday consists of fixing broken parts, doing random things around the shop that need done, and right now he has some very long nights and works until things get done to make sure that farmers can keep going with their harvest season. Carson was also a former CAC member, so when we asked him a bit about his connections with CAC and how that's helped him get to where he is today, he shared that the experiences and people he got to talk to really helped him with this. His interview skills became a lot better as he got into the CAC side of things more, and also when he went to college, the interview skills and the people and connections that he had made really helped him out there. When catching up with Carson, we also got to look at how he started within CAC, how he was with the podcast and radio side of things, and how it's transferred more into video and television segments, and I'm really excited to see where the program can grow from there because it's already been expanding, and I'm really excited to see where the future has for it. Kesley, what'd you think?
I thought it was amazing to see how much Carson has grown, and he really has been keeping busy at P&K, for he's been at my house multiple times fixing equipment, and I've seen him in Makokata while getting parts. Moving on to our next segment, I got the chance to sit down and speak with Joni Ernst about the Young Farmers Program in Iowa and how she's helped with the policy development. Let's take a look.
Thank you so much for joining us. So to start off, just tell us a little bit what you've been doing so far and what you've been up to.
Oh my gosh, well it has been a really exciting year. I completed my 99 county tour not all that long ago, and this is something that Senator Grassley has done for 40 years. So I've done it, completed my 6th year in a row. I visit all 99 counties every year, and I hear from Iowans, specifically in the areas of agriculture, maybe manufacturing, healthcare, anywhere there's a concern or an opportunity, I want to hear about those.
So switching things up, at the beginning of the week, I got to talk to an ag loan at the person at the bank, and we talked about a beginning farmers program that helps give farmers that want to start like money. and they can get a loan. So what is the national level doing to help encourage these beginning farmers?
Yes, well, I've actually worked on a number of issues for our young and beginning farmers. And what we want to make sure is that they do have easy access to the type of capital to either take over their parents' operations or start their own operation. So we do think that that is very important to provide those types of supports and backstops for those farmers, but simply encouraging and educating people, supporting ag education in our school systems, simply so that we do have young people that are wanting to engage in that area. For many years, a lot of our schools really moved away from the traditional agricultural programs or FFA type programs. They moved away from 4-H. Well, now we are re-engaging in those types of activities and encouraging those young and beginning farmers. So outside of the banking structure, though, there are efforts that I have undergone that would limit the amount of CRP land that we have. Because what we find in certain circumstances is when somebody's retiring, you have an older farmer that's retiring, they'll put their land in CRP. That way they're getting paid from the federal government for that CRP land, but it takes that land out of production, and it limits the amount of opportunity that our young and beginning farmers have. So what we want to make sure is that, one, there's land available, and then two, that there are the supports in place to make sure that they actually have a good go at it.
There was also talk earlier in the year to extend student loan forgiveness to farmers and ranchers. Where is that at now?
Well, I would have to go back and double check on that, but there's a lot of different opportunities that we have, whether you're engaging in farming or any other type of career track. There are lots of opportunities out there, whether it's through grant structures, scholarship opportunities, and so forth. I've actually engaged in a number of efforts with Senator Grassley, which is called Know Before You Owe. And so when young people are engaging in college or going to a technical school, they'll know how much they will owe for their degree program, and then what their career track will actually pay them. So we want to make sure everybody understands the finances before they engage. And then outside of farming too, there are other opportunities where employers really want to pay back student loans for young men and women that go to work in a certain industry. So there's a lot of different ways we can tackle that issue.
And then now I have two brothers, and then my dad and my grandpa. So we're kind of starting this year to switch generations, and they taking over the farm. How do we ensure that that land's still going to be there and we're still going to keep it in the family business?
Again, it's one of those areas where we really do have to encourage those young and beginning farmers and make sure that those transitions are easy. So taking a look at any rules and regulations that are in place that would prohibit the easy transfer of land between that owner, maybe that grandpa or that dad, to the granddaughter or the daughter or son. So scrutinizing what is going on, passing from one generation to the next, identifying those barriers, and then making sure that we as a Congress or even people at the state level are making sure they're identifying the barriers and then removing those barriers. Because what we don't want to see is the end of family farming, whether in the state of Iowa or in the United States.
Well, that's something we can both agree on. So thank you for sitting down with me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Kesley. Thank you so much. This has been so exciting, so fun. We support agriculture here in the great state of Iowa. Thank you to our farmers and our ranchers.
It was so much fun sitting down and talking to Joni Ernst about this topic. It's an important topic that needs to be talked about. The Young Farmer Program is something I'm very passionate about, and I really do believe helps farmers when they're switching over generation to generation to ensure that those fields are still going to be there and that farmland is still going to be in the family.
It was really lucky for all of us to get the chance to speak with not only one of our senators, but also, if you saw our last episode, we talked to Chuck Grassley. And it's really cool that they're so interested in speaking with the youth within agriculture, and they even took time out of their busy schedules to talk to all of us. Moving on to our next segment, in our Producer's Corner, we speak with the owner and operator of Clear Creek Enterprises, Dennis Campbell. I traveled out to his operation and got to speak with him about how he's continuing his family farm as it's been passed on from his grandpa onto him, and he hopes that it continues in the family. Here's more. In our next segment, we travel to Greyhound, the Clear Creek Enterprises, where they produce their own worm castings fertilizer. And as you can see, we're in our FFA greenhouse, and it's a little bit loud because of the fans we have going on all of the plants that help keep them living all winter long. Here's some more. Today we speak with 6th generation owner and operator of Crystal Creek Enterprises, Dennis Campbell. Dennis today, when we were speaking with him, was sending some guys out into the field to get harvesting the corn and the soybeans that they have this year. So many different things go into harvesting, and also a lot of different diversity happens around the Clear Creek Enterprises operation. One of those things is the organic worm casting fertilizer that they have for sale. They do a lot of different things with the worm casting fertilizer, including creating it from the worms. The worms fertilize the dirt in the soil that they have, and then they put it through a machine which separates the fertilizer from the worm. They then take the worms to start the cycle again and bag up the fertilizer and sell it. You can do a lot of different things with the fertilizer, including use it for your gardens or any other projects you might need it for. I know personally we've used it for the FFA greenhouse before, and it's been very successful. Another thing that Dennis Campbell has around his farm is a lot of technology. He encourages farmers to use technology for farming because it's going to allow us to move farther and it's something that we need to embrace with open arms. As we continue to get more technologically advanced, it's important that we embrace it because it allows us to do more, have more efficient yields, and in the end of the day, makes things a lot easier. They use a lot of different things with GPS and satellites. Dennis also talks a bit about how we've had to change and adapt a lot more in the year of 2020 because of the different situations that we've been thrown into. He explains that trade is always something that's important as long as the markets, but this year we've had the derecho windstorm that didn't help farmers at all. For example, Campbell's had a lot of different grain bin sites that were torn up because of the windstorm. He says that in order to adapt to that, all workers had to work together very hard in order to make things continue to move forward. He explains that worker safety is very important to him as well as the company as a whole. If a worker is stressed or needs help with something, it's always very important that they speak up and continue to make that change work because at the end of the day, worker safety is their number one priority. Another thing that's happened is a lot of down crops because of the wind. Unfortunately, sometimes it can be hard to harvest crops that are down from so much wind damage, and it can affect the yields. So adapting to those situations is a challenge that they have to do, but it's also something that makes them stronger as a whole because they've learned how to adapt. Adding worm casting fertilizer can be a great addition for any of your garden projects. For more information about worm casting fertilizer, you can check out Crystal Creek Enterprises out on Facebook. We got to learn a lot about the different worm castings like we talked about, and even one of our FFA members, Dennis's son Jack, used the worm casting fertilizer as his item that he sold for his Ag Sales CDE last year. He competed with it at the district level and did very well with it. It was a really great opportunity for him to tie in something of his family's operation as well as tie it into the FFA. Kesley, what did you think about it?
I thought it was really fascinating. This is something you don't really hear a lot about in Iowa, and it was really cool to get to learn about it and learn way more about the worm farming. Moving on to our next segment, this week we also got to sit down with Elise Marks, who goes to school at MCC, and we talked to her about the MCC internship program and a little bit about what she's doing for her internship at Farm Bureau. Let's take a look.
In today's MCC highlight, our team caught up with freshman Elise Marks at her internship with Farm Bureau. Marks came to MCC after high school and started into an ag business program where she has the chance to take courses in agricultural sales, communications, finance, and economics. One of the things Marks comments about is how much she enjoys having classes that are all ag-based because of the interconnectedness it provides with other members of her classes.
That's another thing that I really love about it is all of our classes are ag-based, even if it's not initially in quotes ag class, it's still all tied back into ag. So that's really awesome.
Students like Mark spend their first 5 weeks of the semester in the classroom and complete an internship their next 6 weeks. These internship programs are paid and allow students to job shadow a variety of career options in their chosen field. Mark said she uses the experience from her classroom time to help her with on-the-job skills, including learning to communicate professionally with clients. While finding an internship was a challenge because she was interested in finance, Marks eventually landed at Farm Bureau in DeWitt and is shadowing insurance agent Megan Fulsang. Marks enjoys the position so far and has been splitting her time both in and out of the office, telling us that every day looks a little different.
I really love being able to connect with people that I already know back home and meeting new people through insurance and just being able to talk with them and have conversations with them.
One of her tasks is to deliver care packages to all of the farmers working in the fields this harvest season. Marks has also been helping with filing and paperwork in the office and learning about the process of writing insurance claims. Insurance has been in her family for many years, as her grandfather was an insurance agent and she took a course in high school that touched on the subject. This course prompted her to seek out this experience here in college. While this is only her first internship, Marks is looking forward to continuing to grow and meet new people through her time at MCC.
It would help me further my career after I graduate from MCC is having that in my back pocket and even having that connection after I graduate. If somebody's a good internship or a good intern, then a lot of times people can invite them back for a full-time job after you graduate, and I think that's really awesome. And that goes for all my internships, just having connections and having those opportunities to learn more and have a possible job opportunity in the future.
It was fascinating to learn about Elise and how not only does she take classes in school, she gets to sit down and go to internships and learn outside of the classroom as well. From personal experience, I think I would learn way more hands-on doing stuff than inside a classroom.
It was also a really great opportunity for her to still go off to school and college, but get to come back to her home community and work with people that she's talked to before, and like she said, continue to meet more people that she might not have met before in her own community. Also here with us today, we have Ag Business Instructor Jalen Parker joining us right here from our MCC studio. Hi Jalen, thank you for joining us this week.
No problem, no problem.
To start off, can you tell us a little bit about your role you play here at MCC?
Sure. So I am one of the agricultural instructors here at Muscatine Community College. We have a very small department, so I'm one of 4 total full-time ag instructors. And my role, as well as teaching courses, I also help students out with putting them into internship placements that will help them reach their career goals, and not only that, but also give them opportunity to explore some new things that they haven't had the opportunity to explore quite yet.
What are some of the most in-demand fields in ag right now?
Sure. So in the past few years, I've noticed that the demands have been very high, especially in like the service side of things. So service in terms of customer as well as equipment. So we're looking at those customer service positions that have a lot to do with helping that customer out, serving as a consultant, or serving as a mechanic or some sort of technician solving those equipment problems. I've also noticed a big trend from student side of things. Their own personal student interests have been along the lines of finance, business, office work, merchandising, which is kind of something different than what I've experienced when I first started here at MCC. I think that's really great because I think it also shows the diverse students that are starting to show an interest in agriculture.
How has the availability for internships this year been different because of different things you've had to deal with COVID and concerns of letting students go in and job shadow and different companies that are still allowing it?
Sure. So really not a lot has really changed. Farming doesn't stop, pandemic or not. So we have we've actually have quite a few different businesses and independent farmers that'll reach out to us looking for help year after year. And sometimes we don't end up filling those positions because we have such a high demand and have such a high need for those well-qualified students and interns. but sometimes those positions go unfilled. So in reality, nothing really has changed. If anything, farmers need even more help, especially with the storm that came through. We're needing all the help that they can get, because it's going to be a very slow harvest.
This internship program sounds like a great program. So what skills do students learn through that?
Sure. So some of the most basic skills I hope students are able to kind of obtain from those experiences is the fact that they can go out there and do things that are new or different to them, right? It's a confidence booster. It's a gain in not just technical skills, but also in self-confidence, communication, asking questions. And one of the things that I tell my student is you get out of it what you put into it. If you are wanting to go out there and learn something, or you're wanting to go out there and maybe try something new that you haven't tried before, you are the one that gets to determine whether or not you learn those things, right? And the worst thing that could happen is you ask to learn those things, or you ask those questions, and they say no, and if so, then we try another internship, or we do something else. Really, the reality is, you get out of it what you put into it, and the students learn what they want to learn.
And how many of your students who are in these internships usually get placed in them full time?
Oh, sure, yeah. So that percentage is very, very high. I would say 100%, but of course, I don't want to be that extreme in my claim, because but I would say probably 99% of our students who end up going through one of our programs and going through the internships end up fully placed, whether it's with an alternative company that they have an internship with before, or it's a company that they did intern with while they were here at MCC.
How many students still continue to do a 4-year program?
Not very many. There's a lot of students who end up getting gainful employment right after they graduate from MCC. So unless that transfer is something that they are passionate about and really want to go after from the get-go, which we do offer those transfer programs, and we do offer that transferability, 9 times out of 10, our students end up going right into the workforce.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week for this week's episode, Jalen.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, and for more information about MCC's Ag program, you can check it out at eicc.edu.
And now it's time for one of our favorite segments. We're going to highlight a student who succeeds in agriculture. This week we're going to be speaking with Judd Swanton about his Swanton show stock, and then we're also going to speak about how he does breeding and then sells his to 4-H and FFA members, and his own success within the show ring. Let's take a look.
Growing up in rural eastern Iowa has lent itself to building a successful flock of lambs for Swanton show stock owner Judd Swanton. Swanton is a senior and is involved in 4-H and FFA, serving in leadership roles for both organizations. He is also a leader in the show ring, where he has had success the past several years. Swanton has shown livestock as long as he can remember alongside of his older siblings. During the show season, he gets up early to exercise his lambs and before they feed them. Throughout the summer months, they manage the feeding of each individual animal and make sure they look their best come show day. Once feeding is complete, Swanton once again walks the lambs, washes and conditions their legs, and then ties them in the barn. The lambs are tied to train them prior to competition, as it helps to build their endurance. Swanton also tells us that his family prides themselves on their flock's genetics and that they raise everything they show right there on the farm. In order to do this, they must keep a close eye on their breeding program, including checking blood work to make sure that no genetic defects are present. Genetic defects are potential problems that may be passed on from rams and ewes to the young lambs. While most of us are enjoying indoor activities in the winter, Swanton and his family are out in the barn lambing their 65 ewes, which usually wraps up around the end of February.
For us, we usually try to lamb right there in the beginning of winter, between January and February. Sometimes we go into March a little bit, but we try to limit that with when we're sending out bucks.
This allows the lambs maximum time to grow before the upcoming show season. This season lasts throughout the summer and gives Swanton the chance to travel all over the state of Iowa for open jackpot shows and county and state fair.
Mainly here in just the state of Iowa. We show up at the county and as well as the state level. We kind of try and hit a few jackpot shows every now and then. We travel a little bit to central Iowa, a little bit in southern Iowa, but for the most part we stay around here in Clinton County, and then we also go out to Des Moines for the state fair, and we do the best we can.
The Best They Can includes winning county fair multiple times and showing at the Best of the Best showdown in Marengo, where this year Swanton was named champion showman. He tells us that showing livestock has played an important part in making him the person he is today, and he enjoys watching his genetic base improve over time.
Showing livestock has really changed my life. I think showing livestock is the best thing that you could ever do because it teaches you the morals that is needed for life. I mean, it teaches you responsibility, trustworthiness. It can help you develop respect, and it just really helps you overall because just the things that it can teach you. I mean, getting up early and working and having to do daily routine all the time, all the days of the year, that really helps you later on in life. And it's really cool to see these animals grow. I mean, we are very few people who raise all the show lambs that they show during this show season. And I think that's really cool because we're able to, I mean, we see these lambs from the moment they're dropped on the ground all the way until weaning time, all the way until show time. And I think that's really cool. And the best part is being able to see those females go back into production through our flock, and then also seeing the bucks that we use. We raise most of our bucks and we use them, and I think that's pretty neat that a lot of the stuff around here has our own genetics.
Swanton plans to continue raising and showing lambs throughout his college career and will be studying in an ag program next fall. For more information about Swanton Show Stock or to check out what they have for sale, you can visit their page on Facebook.
Judd is one of my classmates, so I've got to witness firsthand all of his successes and how much he's really grown throughout the livestock industry.
Judd also finds success within different things within the ag industry as he's on his FFA livestock judging team, and the DeWitt Central FFA livestock judging team and the Northeast are both heading out to the Kansas City American Royal this coming weekend to judge competitively. We both advanced from our state contests and we'll be looking forward to seeing how this weekend goes. For this week, that's all the time that we have, but make sure that you tune in for our next episode as we speak with producer Cole Toby and how he talks about fitting show cattle, and we speak with MCC representatives from the Vet Tech program. If you want to learn more about the CAC Media Group, you can visit our Instagram and Facebook pages. Thank you for joining us for this week's show. This has been Megan Clark and Kesley Holdgraver for AgriVision.